My name's Slaine Browne. I moved to Portrush when I was 17. I've been skating here since 1997. I knew that there was this town called Portrush where people surfed, where the ground was smooth and there was some surf shops that sold skateboards. Over the years I've met people that were here in the 90s that then go, oh, I remember seeing skateboarders in Portrush, and I'm going, that was me and my friends, and we're still there. Skateboarding is so important in Northern Ireland because it brought a certain generation together, and that generation then started bringing younger kids in with them. In Portrush, we were right here in the centre of town. Everybody saw us together. We were a big focal thing. And in Belfast as well, where there's like army wagons going past, helicopters in the sky, and there's just this pocket of the city where it's just us skating. So a lot of young people saw that and went, that's what I want to do. It was the skateboarders that made me go, I want to do that, because they've got something else to do besides just the usual thing you think teenagers do. And skateboarding pulls you back.
I have skated here in Portrush all my life. It's my passion. It's what I do to clear my head. There's a lot of good skaters who quit prematurely because we had nothing. So why not supply us with something that we have been needing for 30 years?
Portrush is a place that has skateboarding as part of its identity, but Portrush doesn't have dedicated skate park facilities. There's been a long-running campaign to try and redress that situation. I've been doing research with the skateboarding community here in Portrush, and my research has been involved in intervening in that campaign. The initial project was working alongside skateboarders to use their culture of creating videos as a way to think critically about the activity of skateboarders and the particular context here in Portrush. And my key research partner in that regard has been Slaine Browne. He's a long-time skateboarder. He's also been a keen video maker all that time, and these two things go hand in hand.
We have skated every single inch of this town in the past 30 years. I have anyway. All the kids who have been skating for years, they know where every little bump is. We have checked every corner and filmed everything,
This box of obsolete media sitting in Slaine's house became the focus of our attention. This was a collection, an archive of footage dating back to the 1990s, but it was all in obsolete formats. We managed to come up with, I think, more than 200 hours of footage that Slaine, to his credit, poured through. And we produced these reels, these video shorts, focused on particular key skate spots in Portrush, going back through the decades. The next step was to show that footage to contemporary skateboarders, and we were able to use the independent cinema on Main Street in Portrush. It's called the Playhouse. We sat down with the skateboarders, showed them this archive footage, focused on key points in the town, and I was able to record their reaction to this and the kind of organic discussions that came up, talking about the heritage of skateboarding as a creative activity here, particular value that was attached to these places that other people would just see as quite ordinary sets of steps or walls, but these had real emotional value for skateboarders. The first time they watch it, there's almost like this reverent silence, or they're trying to absorb everything. They're like aware that this is something important, or that there's something in here that's of value to them. And then the subsequent screening, there's a bit more jokes and like, oh geez, Chambers, there's you when you're 6, or laughing and joking and saying, what on earth kind of trick is that from 1998? Nobody does that anymore.
And then at the end it was packed with parents, all different generations. And then at the end of it, the questions were from people that didn't skate. They were really, really animated. Most people get into skateboarding when they're young, or early teens or whatever, and that's the time in your life when you're trying to figure out who you are and might feel a bit self-conscious coming down the street. What it does is it brings people together in a way that I suppose is kind of missing from a lot of groups or youth cultures or whatever nowadays, where it's like we congregate, we gather together, but we're exercising, we're participating and stuff.
The thing that really impresses me about skateboarders, I think maybe especially in Portrush, is the initiative. When they want to get something done, there's someone there who'll just go and get it done. As much as people are campaigning for a skate park and all the rest of it, they've been making their own infrastructure for so long that they've got, you know, the skills and the kind of self-confidence just to just go and do it. In previous generations, anything that was left in the public space would have been taken away almost immediately, confiscated by the council. Post-COVID, this space seemed to generate a bit of semi-permanence, a bit of recognition, legitimacy as a skate spot. The 2022 Skate Jam happened on this space in association with the Coaster Festival. There was people using this whole flow of ledges and spaces and steps down to the traditional skate spot at the amphitheatre. Very soon after that, the council came down and confiscated all the ramps and rails that had been left in this spot. People were on site to record that, and there was significant public outcry because of what had happened, which I think the skaters were surprised about, because it wasn't just skaters in the kind of alternative scene that were in uproar about this. It was everyone in Portrush, really. The wider population in Portrush and the surrounding area were actually willing to speak out in support of the skaters and their presence here. Because of the public outcry, the council were forced to return all the ramps and the rails, but they also fenced the area off, as you can now see, with signs up saying this was now a temporary space for skateboarding. What Station Square changed was the ability to have somewhere that was semi-permanent, or at least had developed a degree of legitimacy and recognition as an established skateboarding place. We were able to host the Skate Jam, and if you look at any of the footage from that, the number of tourists who were gathered around cheering and applauding for what the skateboarders were doing was really quite incredible. Historically, it was a lot of tension between the shared space that the skateboarders and the tourists were both trying to occupy. Whereas now, the dynamic seems to have shifted, where skateboarding has become part of the spectacle of tourists. They're able to go and get an ice cream or some chips or go to the amusements and then sit and watch the skateboarding.
Going back and looking at the footage, it's a thing that you don't notice day by day, but through Jim's kind of questioning, somebody who was outside the skate scene for a long time, he saw like a wider view of it. He goes, look at what you guys are doing, look what you've done for years, and it made me realise that we'd actually done a lot of good stuff, you know. And then we dropped the next video saying, why don't we have a skate park? And then the next video was a bit longer, a bit bigger, the next one, the next one, the next one, until the town went, oh right, now we see what these guys are doing, you know. So for us it felt great, because we always people thought we were just wrecking the place, you know, and just kind of antisocial behaviour. And I know we do a minuscule amount of damage to the ledges, but when we made those videos and people saw how much we'd actually, you know, were part of the town, how much we loved the town, the fact that, you know, we love curbs, we love paving slabs. We're like, that, my favourite paving slab's gone, it was the only smooth one on Main Street, you know, stuff like that.
Station Square, we don't know how long it's going to be here, but, you know, it's been around for the last sort of 2 years. It keeps getting better and better. I think we're now in the sort of licensed bit where they're not going to take away, hopefully. But having said that, you know, there is every now and again like a threat would come in where we don't know whether we have to like pick up ramps and put them in a garage or take them to a different spot or something. But I love it down here, you know, it's like my preferred place to skate.
The whole thing is about community. You want all your friends to see you want people to come into your circle and like other skaters. The difference it could have made to a lot of people back then who were really good, who don't skate anymore. It could have been awesome, professional. So why not supply us with something that we have been needing for 30 years?